أهلا كيف حالكم? Welcome to Learn Arabic Online with Lubna Dumayan. Today we have a competition going on between the Arabic verb forms and you will be the supporter of one of them. So ask yourself before you choose your favorite side. Are you a spontaneous person or deliberate? This is kind of a survey. You can skip it, no offense. Do you prefer acting as a group or independently? Do you usually behave intentionally or unintentionally? Do you feel the urge of planning all your activities, it's me, or you just let it go as the natural flow of a river? If you have been studying Arabic for a while, you are probably aware that there are 10 main forms of verbs in the Arabic language. Each of these forms have letters and vowels that are added to the root form, which alter the meaning of the root verb in a variety of different ways. In our last session, you were introduced to some of the verbs with an implicit passive meaning and an explicit active form. The passive is more limited than the active voice, in that mainly transitive verbs may be in the active. So form 6 verb تفاعل clearly illustrates this case. And since form 3 is also involved in the event, we are compelled to invite both of them. So let's bring our stars to the arena. Form 6 versus form 3. This form is built on form 3 by the addition of the prefix ta that appears to be basically indicating oneself. Also, an augmentative letter denoting increased size or intensity. And the alif after the first radical fa, the tafa, appears to be indicating the active participle role, the action of the doer. Form 3 is the basis of form 6. So form 6 is a reflexive version of form 3 verb, and usually intransitive for repelling objects. So reflexive, انعكاسي. So we may say that form 6 is the passive form of form 3. You can count how many times I said form and you tell me at the end of the lesson. So we have form 3, فاعل, with the alif after the first radical. By ta equals form 6. تفاعل. You may say form 2 by 2 if I say ta with dhamma. So form 3 by 2 equals form 6. I have developed this formula for you to memorize it. Okay? So فاعل تفاعل. ساعد, to help. تساعد, to help one another. رافق, to accompany. ترافق, to accompany one another. تساعد المهندسون في إتمام المشروع. The engineers helped one another, okay, in the completion of the project. Here we have just المهندسون as the subject of تساعد, because تساعد is intransitive. We don't have any object. رافق الرجل المرأة. The man accompanied the woman. We have the subject of رافق الرجل and the object المرأة, because رافق is a transitive verb. If we want to merge the subject and the object, we have to use ترافق, the form 6 of the form 3 verb رافق. So we would say ترافق الشخصان. The two people accompanied one another. الشخصان. So الشخصان is the subject of ترافق. Alright, but we cannot have an object with this form. But sometimes ترافق الولدان في طريقهما إلى المدرسة. The two boys accompanied one another in their way في طريقهما to school. إلى المدرسة. The subject of ترافق is الولدان. هامس. هامس to whisper. تهامس to whisper together or to whisper to one another. هامست صديقتها أثناء المهرجان. Form 3. She whispered to her friend during the festival. So هامس has the subject هامست, her, third person singular feminine, and the object صديقة. So she whispered to her friend during the festival. But if we want to merge the subject and the object, we have to use تهامس. تهامست الصديقتان. The two friends whispered together or whispered to one another. So, this form may comprise different shades of meaning. Let's clarify its status. When one person is involved, as with the example of تعالى, because with these examples we had more than one subject. And this is the purpose of this reflexive verb. But with the verb تعالى, the things are different. تعالى means to be far above, to be too great. When referring to God with the expression Allahu Ta'ala, He is by Himself the absolutely exalted, Almighty God. Form 6 is also used to indicate making oneself do something, or become something, or become possessor of some quality, as in the verb ta'azama. Ta'azama, to intensify, be aggravated, become worse. Ta'azama al-amru, we have just one subject, no object. The issue became worse. Ta'azama al-amr. So the issue made itself become of great significance due to requirements or situation or passage of time, we don't know. Tasa'ada. Another example. Tasa'ada. increase or intensify. For example, تصاعد الدخان في الفضاء. The smoke rose in the space. Verb form 6 is مطاوع. مطاوع, submissive. Flexible of verb form 3. The idea of effort and attempt when transitive in form 3 becomes reflexive in form 6. In other complicated words, making oneself do an effort to try to perform an action. So the submissive al-mutawi' is a verb whose agent receives the effect of the action of the other agent. How? باعدته فتباعد. باعد, to keep away. Alright? تباعد, to keep away of one another, or to stay away of one another. And usually you may see it with the preposition عن. تباعد عن. So باعد can take an object. باعدته. Here we have the object pronoun. باعدته. I kept him away. And what happened? فتباعد. So he kept himself away. He surrendered. Alright? He accepted the situation and kept himself away. He didn't have any other choice. So, I kept him away. باعدته فتباعد. So, he kept himself away. عانق. عانق, form 3 verb, means to hug or to embrace. The action done by one person. تعانق, when the prefix is attached to this verb, the action becomes involving more than one person. To hug each other. Maybe 3 or 4 or 5. We don't know the number, but it's more greater than 2. Form 6 can also have the mutual participation meaning shade. There are 2 possibilities. 2 or more than 2 persons or things are participating in mutual action, with all participants considered acting as subjects and objects at the same time. It's like with the example of the verb تسابق. تسابق. تسابق, it's to take part or compete in a race. تسابقوا. تسابقوا, they raced. تحاربوا, they fought. تحارب, to fight one another. تحارب. So تحاربوا, they fought one another. تناقشوا. تناقشوا, from the verb تناقش. تناقش. So تناقشوا is to argue, to debate. So تناقشوا, they debated, they discussed all together, or they argued all together. The mean way or the good way, I don't know. Alright. The other possibility, it's for 2 or more than 2 people or things when they are participating in some mutual action, each acting as a subject, but the object is something else. For example, with the verb تجاهل. تجاهل, to ignore. تجاهل صديقهما. In this case, this form is able to take an object. How come? Everything is possible with Arabic. You already know that. So تجاهل, both of them, they ignored at the same time as one person. تجاهل صديقهما. They ignored their friend. Okay? Reciprocal signification is another shade of meaning. The possible reciprocity of verb form 3 becomes a necessary reciprocity in form 6. In as much as verb form 6 includes the objects of verb form 3 among the subjects that influence upon one another. For example, قاتل العدو عدوه. The enemy fought his enemy. Alright? Or tried to kill his enemy. So we have العدو, the enemy, the subject of قاتل, and عدوه, his enemy, the object. So if we want to merge the subject and the object, we have to use the verb تقاتل. تقاتل العدوان, both of them. So تقاتل العدوان, they both were contending to kill each other. As the reciprocal signification requires at least two subjects, the singular of Arabic verb form 6 from this perspective is always collective. تسامع به الناس. تسامع. So the people heard of it from one another. So تسامع is to hear from one another. The idea of reciprocity may be confirmed to the parts of one and the same thing. For example, تماسك. تماسك, to hold together, be firmly connected, or be interlocked. For example, تماسك الجدار أمام الزلزال. So the wall remained undaunted facing the earthquake. It didn't collapse. It stayed strong. Okay? Form 6 is appropriate to actions that take place bit by bit or by successive efforts. The verb تساقط. تساقط المطر. The rain was falling down. So تساقط is to fall down or to descend rapidly from a higher to a lower level. So there is kind of intensity again in this kind of verb. Intensity. Gradualism. So the subject is doing the action gradually or step by step or in stages. For example, تواردوا. تواردوا, they arrived successively, one after the other. The agent or subject is pretending the possession of the quality indicated in the root. For example, تمارد. تمارد, malinger, feign illness or sickness when we don't want to do something, or if we want to just avoid some chores assigned by someone, what do we use? The verb تمارض. You fake it. تناعس. تناعس. Pretend to be sleepy, but you're not. Okay? So these are some different shades of the Arabic verb form 6 meaning. So pick your favorite shade and use it in your life, in your Arabic life. I hope that I was clear enough. If not, you ask questions, you request lessons, I will do it with a pleasure. I enjoy every comment from you, every question. Just write to me. I will answer it. Until then, you like me, you miss me, and you keep learning Arabic. إلى اللقاء.